recording as well. Okay. So just before starting, can everyone confirm? Are everyone are there on laptops and they have installed Python in their devices? Guys, please thumbs up or type your answers in chat. Okay. So okay. Uh, Everyone has installed Python, right? Everyone is there in laptops. Okay, great. So we'll just start with the first part. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. I need to share this on the. So is my screen visible? Yes.
Yes, sir.
In online. Okay, great. So we'll start with the variables, expression, and statements today. So yesterday also we saw that what are the constants. So can anyone tell me what is the constants? I think we discussed yesterday as well. Anyone? Okay. So basic thing, the fixed values. Okay. So the fixed values which cannot be changed further, and those values can be either numbers, letters, and strings. Okay, we call it as a constants. So small adjustment. List of content. Okay, I think it's not there. Okay. So over here, this 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the constant. So the constants can be printed directly and used directly. So for example, I want to use some particular value or I want to print some string. Okay. So we can use directly in the print statement or either in the any function. Okay. So these fixed values we call it as a constants. Okay. uh, for representation numbers we directly give it in the function. For letters and strings we give it in the either single or double quotes in Python. Now next, reserve words. So yesterday also we discussed reserve words. So these are the basically few words or variable names which are already reserved by the Python in the form of these few functions. Okay. So the false is a one of the reserve word. Okay. True and is one of the operator. Okay. A logical operator. These are the few words. Other than that, as well, there are many words which are already reserved by the Python. So which we cannot use as the name of our variable or identifiers. Okay. So we cannot use these particular words, and there are more set of words which we cannot be used for the naming our variable or cannot use as a identifiers. So now what are the variables? So variables are the we can call it as a name place, okay, or takes a memory, okay, where we can store our values, okay. So values can be the form of the again numbers or strings or letters, okay. So for example, what we saw in the constants we cannot store, okay, but if you want to store some value, you need some variable where you are storing the your value. Okay, so every variable takes some space. Okay, you must studied previously as well. In any programming language, every variable, as per the form or type of the variable, it takes some bytes of space, either 1 byte, 2 byte, or 4 bytes. Depends on the what is the form of, whether it is integer, string, or where normal letter. Correct. So here, as an example, here we have the two different variables x and y. In x we have stored 12.2. Both are the integer form, numbers format, right? So it reserves some block of space, okay, where we can store our value. Okay, simple. And in the variables, okay, we can change the values or append the values or modify the values as per what we are working on, that as per the requirements. Okay, so there are few rules for to, I will not say the fixed rules, but a good practice to have the deciding or writing the variables. Okay, very first thing, we cannot use the reservoir. That is for sure. That is a fixed rule. Other than that, okay, in variable, the good practice is you as per your requirement. So, for example, if you want to store some spam value, so give it as a spam or spam underscore value. Okay, so that your variable name, if you are providing your code to someone else at the latter part, that user or developers will understand that variable is used for which purpose. Okay, so that's the very first thing. Other than that, you cannot use the hashtag. This is a comment in the Python, so that is very much thing. Then again, you cannot use the dot. Okay, it consider as a function, then it will give you the syntax error. And before starting, you can it's not a good practice to add a number in the variable name. Okay, other than that, in for every variable, okay, the it's a case sensitive. Okay, so if you are writing some variable name, so these are the three different variables names. Okay, so please make sure, if you are writing any variable name, okay, make sure ki capital letters or small letters are in the same format while using it or defining it. Okay, so menu variable names, okay, that's not required. Okay, so now next is sentences or lines. So yesterday also we saw ki this is our assignment statement. Okay, so assignment statement is basically when you assign some value to the variable. Okay, this we call it as a assignment statement. Then with the assignment with the expression, so now if you want to assign a new value to the same variable or the new variable with using the previous assigned value or the previous variable and adding some expression to it, means he adding some operator or doing some calculation, something like that, we call it as a assignment with the expression. Okay, this is bit a theoretical part. Okay, but these are the few things which are asked in the MCQs or the maybe in the interviews as well for the freshers point of view. Okay, and then the print statement. The print statement is basically where we print the value. So over here, the all the orange part are your variables. Okay, the values in the blue are the constants. Okay, this yellow print is a function, and this is your operator. Okay, so this also we call it as a assignment statement. So assignment statement is basically, this is the assignment statement with the variable, sorry, with the expression. Okay, so every assignment statements initiates the right hand side value first. Okay, so it will resolve or it will debug or it will read the right hand side value first. It will complete the whatever the expression you have given, it will complete that your calculation, and then pass on your value to the left hand side. So whenever you will find the assign, this we call it as a assignment operator as well, the equals to. Okay, whenever you will find the assignment operator, every right, first it will debug the right hand side and then pass on the value to the left hand side variable. Okay, so it's the same thing. So now here what it will do, the previous value of the x was 0.6. Okay, first we assign the x value as a 0.6. So next expression is 3.9 into x into in bracket 1 minus x. So what it will do, first it will put the value of x 0.6 in this particular all the x's in the right hand side. Okay, now what we did, we put the 0.6 0.6 over here. Okay, now then we resolve the bracket first, the basic math calculation what we do. Okay, so we resolve the bracket and then we did the multiplication. Okay, and now we got a 0.936. Now this value will be get appended, or the x values will be updated as a 0.936 instead of the 0.6. So new value of the x will be 0.936. Okay, yeah, the same thing, the now new value will be the 0.936. So now we'll see what are the expressions. So these are the numerical expressions. Okay, the addition operator, subtraction operator, multiplication operator, this is your division operator, this is your power operator, and this is your remainder operator. Okay, so these are the basic mathematical operators what we used to do in the basic maths as well. So these are the few numerical expressions. Okay, we have given few values, assign the values. So the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay. So what is a remainder? Remainder is basically the value remain after the division to the number. So for example, we are dividing 23 by the 5. Okay, so 5 fours are 20. So now the value remain is 3. So now 3 cannot be divided by the 5, correct? So 3 considers as a remainder of your expression. Okay, so for finding out the remainder, we use the percentage value. So why this remainder operator is there? So basically, if you want some value is divisible by some number or not, so that time we use the remainder. So such that there are many other operations where this remainder value is required. So order of operations, order of evaluation, we also call as a operator precedence. The precedence. So precedence starts with the highest parenthesis. Parenthesis means your brackets. Okay. So it will solve the bracket values first, then the power. So power means 2 raised to the power 3 square root, a square of, or the cube of some value. So it will solve the whatever the powers are there in the your expression. Then it will do the multiplication or the division. Okay, whatever is there, and then addition. And every time it will start from the left to right. So for example, in this expression, what is the highest precedence is a power, right? So what it will do, it will resolve the 5 raised to the power 6 first. Okay, will come some value over here. Now we have multiplication and division. So basic rule, start from the left to right. So it will do the multiplication first and then this division. Okay, now what we left with the addition and subtraction, again left to right. It will do 1 plus whatever the value of this is 6, 1 plus 6 minus what will be whatever will the value of this expression. Okay, just for the understanding. Okay, it will do the power first. Okay, 2 raised to the power 3 4. Okay, so 2 raised to the power 2 ka cube 8. Now we have 1 plus 8 divided by 4 multiplied by 5. So first left to right. Okay, it will divide 8 by 4 first, which is 2, and then we'll multiply the 5. Okay, and now last we are left with the addition. Final value will be the 11. Okay, got it everyone? Guys, please response in online. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So these are the few rules of operator precedence. Okay, I'll share the theoretical part in the PDF. Just same what I shared for the yesterday's class. Okay. So now we'll see what does the type mean. Okay, so type is basically what particular type of your variable. So these are So type is also, we call it as a one of the function to find out the whether the your variable is an integer or string. Okay. So now over here, uh, we have the one variable ddd is equals to 1 plus 4. Okay, now we'll print. Okay, so we'll get the value 5. Now again, so this is the addition of the integers that is possible, right? But what if we do the addition of the two different strings? So as a mathematical, it's not possible, correct? We cannot add two strings, right? But in the Python, this your addition operator works as a concatenation operator as well. So basically what it will do, it will concatenate or join the two different strings. Okay, so over here it will be joined. So hello underscore, okay, sorry, space, and then there. So if we'll print a triple E, it will print the hello there. It will not give the syntax error. Okay, so addition of the two numbers or multiple numbers is possible. Addition of the two strings is possible, but addition of string plus integer is not possible because the type of the variable gets changes. Okay, so now this we have the string, for example. Now if you want to try adding the string with the number, it will throw back you the error. Okay, the traceback error, it will give you the type error. Basically two types of the your addition is not matching. So for finding the type of your variable, we use the type function. Type in bracket giving the name of the variable, or also we can directly give the constant. Here we are given the variable. This is your constant value. Okay. So similarly, we can find out the type of the variable or the constant value directly as well. Okay. So this is your string. This will be your string. Hello is your string. Type of one is your integer. Okay, string is represented by the str. Okay, now several types of numbers. So numbers can be integers or the float values, right? So the numbers are simply the values which does not consider the decimal values. The float are the numbers which are the decimal values. Okay, so this is your integer. 98.6 your float value because it has a decimal value. Okay, in very simple terms. So this applies for the positive values as well and the negative values as well. Similarly, over here, these are all the integers, and the floating point numbers are the start in the plus and minus as well. So 0 and 0.0. Okay, we know this is 0.0 is also 0 only, right? Logically, but for the machine, it will consider as a your floating value. Okay, even 14.0 typically is 14, has to be 14, right? But while representing the machine with what we are given 14.0, so it will consider this value as a float value. Okay, now type conversions. So 99, we have the integer. Now I want to convert my integer into the float value. Okay, so what it will do, it will convert it 99.0 and the addition of 100. So float plus integer always will give you the value of float. Okay, if you want to add float plus integer, it will always give the value of the float value. Okay, now here we have given the one variable I is equals to 42. The type is integer. Now I want to convert this I integer into the float. Okay, so what I will do, float, I'll use directly the float function, which will convert your I integer value into the float and will store in the f. So now f will be printed as a 14.0. Okay, whenever we are converting an integer into the float value, it will give only the one decimal place. Okay, in other programming languages or the different versions, it sometimes gives the four decimal values as well. Okay, but in Python, more or in 3x version, it will give the single decimal value. Okay, now the new type of the f will be the float. So integer division, so whenever we'll divide any integer, it will always give the float value. Integer divided by integer will always give the float value. Okay, because after any division, either, even though 10 by 2 is a perfect division, okay, it has to give the 5, but here we have used the division operator. So every output of the division operator will always give the floating point value. Okay, now string conversions. So for example, you have some string which is storing your integer value. So for example, I have the string variable sval is equals to, in the quotes, 1 2 3. So type of, if any number is represented in the quotes as well, that is considered as a string value. Okay, over here the type of the sval will be string. Now logically this is the integer, right? Now if I want integer plus integer is possible, right? But let's try key whether it will add up with the integer or not. But this is your string value. So string plus integer is string, addition with the integer is not possible, so it will throw back with the again the error, right? So now what we'll have to do, we'll have to convert this particular string into the integer value. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll create a new variable and use the integer function directly. Integer in bracket our string variable. Okay, yes, well, screen share whatever. Yeah. Okay, so now this value will be converted into integer and then will be stored in the this variable. So now the type of this variable will be the integer. Now the addition is possible, right? Because this value is got converted into the integer. Okay, everyone getting it? So let's try whether your any string can be converted into integer or not. If your string consists any other value other than the integer, it will not convert your string into the integer. Okay, so even for example, we have the 1 2 3, and if there is a space over here, okay, so it will not convert your this value into the integer because it is consist of the string value. Okay, so till now what we saw the operators, variables, constants, the additions, the precedence. Okay, now we'll see the input function. Okay, so input function is basically we use for taking the input from the user. Okay, so in input, okay, whenever you are using the your input function, so it works as a question for the user. Okay, so input function in bracket whatever will pass in the course, it will give you the ask the question to the user. Okay, so if you'll execute this particular line, okay, so what it will do, it will first ask you who are you, it will print the question first, and then the user can type the answer and press enter. So whatever the user will type, okay, so it will be come as a value and will be stored in the variable. So input function you can use directly as well. Okay, or else if you use the input function directly, then the whatever the input you are taking will not be stored in any form. If you want to store some value provided by the user, so you need to use the variable and the assignment statement. So variable, assignment statement, so what it will do, it will execute the input and will assign that value to the variable. Okay, now after that what we can do is, we can use using that variable, we can use the input provided by the user. Okay, everyone is getting? Okay, so if we'll execute these two lines, it will ask the question first. Now here your user had typed Chuck. Now next line print nm. So this particular value will be stored in the this variable and will print the welcome Chuck. Okay, so now converting the user input. So every time whatever the input we are taking from the user, it by default takes the value of the string. Okay, now if you want to take the input in the integer format, you need to convert your input into the integer first. Okay, so this is the one method. You can convert your input into the integer, or else you can restrict the input in the integer format by giving the integer and then bracket over here while taking the input. So whenever the program will ask the input from the user, if user provides the string, it will throw back the error directly until and unless it is an integer. Okay, so this is the one method. Or another method, take the input first and then convert the value into the integer and then use it for the your further operations. Okay, so if you will execute these three lines, okay, it will ask the question first. User has provided a 0 input. Now next line 0 plus 1 is 1. Now next execution print user floor is 1. Okay, so comments in the Python. So why we need a comment? So if whenever you are writing a code, okay, if you are given some operation, so for example I want to write some addition operation. Okay, I have given x is equals to 1 plus 5. You are understanding because you are written that code, but if you are passing that code to some another developer, he should understand why you are doing the x is equals to 1 plus 5. So for passing the instructions to the or for understanding of the our own code, we use the comments. So whatever we'll write in the comments will be stored only as a uh, input, or the just as a ignored text, okay, which will not be executed by the Python script. Okay, and using the hashtag, what are the values typed in further line after the hashtag will be ignored by the Python script. It will not execute the line. And also we call it as a temporarily code, okay, which never get executed. No, the metadata is different. Okay, so for example, over here I have what I have given, uh, hashtag get the name of the file and open it. So this is kind of the instruction, but I don't want this instruction to be executed by the Python code. So I what I'll do, I'll write this instruction in the comment section. Okay, so now while executing the code, the Python will see hashtag is there, it will ignore the line, it will go to the second line directly for the execution. Similarly, second, third, fourth line. In the fifth line again there is a hashtag. It will ignore the line of the code and directly execute the next further line. Okay, getting it? Basic command. So till now what we saw, type function or the type of the variables. Okay, then the integer division. Integer division always gives the float value. Then reservoirs in the Python, and the what are the variable names, nomenclature, we call it as a nomenclatures as well. Okay, how we have to do. Then we saw the operators, the mathematical operators, the operator precedence, how your expression get executed. Okay, then conversion between the types, the conversion of the string to the integer value or float to the integer. Okay, or integer to the float. Okay, then user input, how to take the input from the user, and then the comment. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, everyone got it? So can we take a basic practical now? So can everyone open the Python? So again I'm saying, you can either you open the Python ideally, you can open the VS code, or either you can use the Google Colab, PyCharm, whatever is flexible for it. Yeah, Jupyter Notebook is also fine. Whatever you want, whatever you are, more flexible with, okay, you can open that. So I'll be using the VS Code. So over there, I'll show both the Python file and the Jupyter Notebook as well. And how to execute the Jupyter Notebook in the VS Code and how to execute the basic Python file. Okay. So I hope everyone has installed the Python. Okay, you can install the, as I said yesterday, the suggestible version is in between 3.10 to the 3.12. Okay, or for now you can install directly the latest version as well. That's completely fine. Okay, so very first thing, create a folder on your desktop or where you want to create a folder. The we can call it as a primary folder. Over here you can create a subfolder. Okay, so now here what I'm doing, practice. Okay, so now what I'll do, also I have installed the VS Code already in my machine. So what I'll do, I'll open that folder, click the right click, okay, and open with the VS Code. So what it will do, it will open the VS Code with for this particular folder. Okay. So whenever you are using the VS Code, or if you will work in the production in future, okay, you'll need to create a environments and few requirement files. So there is a, we call it as a setup for the project. Okay, so the in setup of the project, the very first thing, create all the your folder or the folder structure. So in folder structure there are 2 to 3 mandatory things. So as of now we don't require the lot many things. Okay, so what it will do, the first thing required today is a Python file. Okay, so over here we can create a new file. So first file I am creating the Python file. So try to do demo day2 dot py. So what I am doing, I am creating a Python file day2 dot py. Again, I am creating another file day2 dot ipynb. So this is ipynb is your Jupyter notebook. Okay. So now we have both the files. So this is I'm doing for the people who are using the Jupyter notebook, and also will execute same in the Python file as well. Okay. So first thing we did, we have created both the folders. Okay. So let's check whether the files are working or not. Okay. So what I will do, I'll try to print. Okay. The print function in the quotes. Hello, welcome, Pushkraj. Okay. I'll just press Ctrl S. The file is saved, and I'll execute and run the Python file. So you can run the Python file from over here. This is the one option. The another option, open the terminal. Okay, so for the developers, this is the good practice to execute your file in the terminal. Open the terminal, Python day2.py. Python was not found. Okay, I think there is some issue with Python version. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll directly run the Python file. Okay, so here now I can see hello, welcome Pushkraj. So my Python file got executed successfully. Okay, so this is the one way you can create a Python file and execute it. What is the difference between the Jupyter notebook now? So in the Jupyter notebook, we don't need a terminal to run the files. Okay, so here we have the code and markdown, two options. So for writing the code, we'll click on the code first. Okay, so we get to see the plain text box over here. So here we can write our code. Sorry, print hello in the codes. Okay, so for running any Jupyter notebook, we need to select a kernel first. Kernel is something which will execute a notebook file. So here what I'm doing, install and enable. Okay, I don't have the kernels over here, so I need to install Jupyter extensions. एक्सटेंशन इंस्टॉल करावं लागतं. So whenever you click on the select kernel, it will give the option to install the kernel. Okay. So again, it will ask the to select the kernel. So the Python environment is the one option or the existing Jupyter server. So for now, I'm selecting the existing Jupyter server. For the URL, it's not a Python environments. Okay. I don't have the Jupyter server with me right now. So what I'm doing, I'm selecting the Python environment. So in my particular this machine, the Python 3.11.8 is the environment existing. So I'm selecting that. Okay. So now my kernel is selected with the Python 3.11.8. Okay. So for executing the any line in the Jupyter, I'll save this first line first. Okay. I'll just run the file from over here. Okay, it is asking to install few packages. Okay, so over here, how many people are using the Jupyter notebook? Okay, in the online. Okay, Akash Power. Anyone else? Okay, only one person. Okay, so total are only two people who are using the Jupyter notebook. So did you guys have set up the kernel? Akash and what's your name?
सर मी ॲनाकोंडा
Ganesh.
नाव्हिगेटरमधून यूज करतो सर.
Okay, you are using the Anaconda. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So as I said, you can use the Anaconda as well, PyCharm as well. Okay.
Jupyter Notebook, yes.
For for me, I'm using the VS Code. Okay, it's taking bit time for execution. Installing the packages. Okay. So everyone, is your Python files are running? Anyone facing any issue? Okay. My kernel is installed. The packages. Okay. So as you can see, this particular file got executed, and I got the output over here. Okay. So the benefit of the Jupyter notebook, we can create a multiple code files over here and execute it, the different codes one by one. But in a normal Python file, what it will do, it will execute your complete code in once. Okay, that is the only difference why the Jupyter notebooks and the Python files are preferred. But while in development, for developing any particular project, we use the Python files in the packages or in the folder structure. Okay. So now let's see one example. Okay, is there anyone before that who's facing any issues in the installation or the anything? Huh? तू VS Code install केले? ओके. VS Code मध्ये एक फाईल बनव. त्याचं एक्सटेन्शन .ipynb हे बघ इथे स्क्रीनवरती आहे. day2.ipynb. Okay, so by default the Jupyter notebook create करेल. Okay, file create ओके आता तिथं कर्नल सिलेक्ट कर्नल राईट हँड साईडला इथं ऑप्शन आला असेल तुला या साईडला त्याच्यावरती क्लिक केल्यानंतर तुला इथं ऑप्शन्स दाखवेल इन्स्टॉल करण्यासाठी that's the reason I asked you guys to set up your devices yesterday only. Okay, just till the time he's setting up his device, so we'll see one problem statement. Okay, so there is a problem statement. Write a program to prompt the user for hours and rate per hour to compute the gross pay. Okay, so basically what I need a program, okay, which will find me the gross pay of the employee. Okay, so gross pay is something hours multiplied by the rate. Okay, for example there is an employee who is working for x hours and his rate per hour is something. Okay, I need to take a input from the user, how many number of hours employees has worked and what is the rate of his working. Okay, so what I'll do, I first thing I need to take the two inputs from the user, enter the number of hours employee work and the what is his rate. Okay, so once we have the two inputs, okay, now we need to find the gross pay. Okay, so the gross pay, as I said, it is the multiplication of hours into the rate. Okay, got it. And then I need to give the in the output what will be the pay for that employee. Okay, got it. Any doubts? Can we do this? Okay, so I am giving you 10 minutes for execution. Is it sufficient? Okay, will you do, or do you want me to show the first code? Okay, so take the time of 10 minutes. Okay, then try from your end. Okay, if you execute the code, if you complete it, it's very good. If not, then I'll show you how to write the code after that. Yes, Akash.
चैट बॉक्स देखिए सर।
Okay, so we need these values in the input. You are directly given the hours and the rate. Okay, your logic for the pay is correct, but hours and rate we need to take it from the user
ओके ओके।
as in the input. And don't write pass your codes in the chat box, please, guys. Rate पण input मध्ये यायचं. Okay, so let's see how we can create. So we'll go in the Python file. Okay, what was the first thing needed? We need to take a hours and rate in the input. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll create hours. Okay, so I can create a variable hours, right? Hours is equals to input. Okay, enter hours. Okay, now what I'll create another variable, rate is equals to input, enter hours. Okay, so let's see what is doing. It's running. Sorry, I need to type over here 35 2.75. Okay, got executed, right? So now what's the next thing? We need to find the gross pay. Okay, so what I did, gross underscore pay, I created a new variable is equals to what, hours multiply by rate. Okay, simple. Now what we need to print out, pay is equals to, okay, gross pay. Okay, so in the print function what I did, I have given the one string then comma the value what we want to pass on. Okay, I'll save the file. Let's see whether it's working or not. 35 2.75, it's giving me the error. Why is it so?
सर फ्लोट है ना 2.75
So it should not give me, right? What I said you guys,
2
whenever we are taking input in the Python code, it always takes that value as a string value, right? So what we'll need the values in the integer or float. Ours can be in the float as well,
फ्लोट
2.5
फ्लोट
hours,
सर
right? So we need a value in the float. So what I'll do, I'll directly in the input only, I'll add the I'll convert my input in the float, or the other way, I'll ask the user to input in the float format only. That can be either the integer or float. It will by default convert in the float only. Okay. Control S. Let's see now whether it's working or not. 35 2.75. Now it's giving me the pay 96.25. Correct. So in that case, if user enters the string value, it will throw the error because it will not take the value in the float. Okay. So these things we can manage in the try and exceptions that we'll see in the further classes, how to manage the user inputs and how to throw the particular error if what is the error user has did it. Okay. That will come in the try and exceptions chapter. Okay. But as of now, we are considering user is smart and providing the input in the form of the float or the integer only. Okay, same code what we can do is we can do it in the Jupyter notebook as well. I'm just copy pasting it. Okay, so over here we can do one by one. Okay, the only difference what Jupyter notebook makes is, okay, I'll show you. Okay, I'll execute this line first. Okay, it asking me to enter 35. Enter yours 35. So I'll create a new code. I'll print out this. Okay, I must have given the wrong inputs. It's asking me to enter the number of hours 35. Okay, I have returned the rate. It's asking me to 2.75. It's executed. Now it's giving me 96.5. Sorry, my bad. Has to be rate. Okay, so in the similar fashion, we can write in the Jupyter notebook as well. Okay, everyone on same page?
यस सर
Okay, so for today, this is the one exercise. If you are not done with the this particular problem statement, please go through it and try to execute it from your end. Okay, I'll pass on the few more examples to you in the our group. Okay, everyone is there in the group, right? Okay, so I'll share you guys in some while a few examples which you can try at the home. Okay, this will be related with the basic today's what we saw. Okay, So let me stop the recording.